Good morning, good afternoon, good day, whatever part of the time that you are tuning in. If you found your way here, you're in the right place, you're in the right space. Greetings to all my awakened ones. Amani Shakit in truth, talking to you in truth. I usually record a message when I have that feeling or essence or flow of knowledge coming through me to share. So I'm going to share a little bit of knowledge, and knowledge is a part of the awakening process or journey that I am taking us all on over the next several months. And may I start off by saying this. I am saying thank you to all the spiritual leaders out there. Thank you to my ancestors who walk this earth, who are still restless. Their spirits are restless and have been unable to rest. I pray that their spirits will rest. But I also say thank you to our ancestors whose energy and spirit is here right now because they know it's a critical time for all of us and we need their help and support. And their help and support that we need may not be physical because I know everybody has a gun. I'm even tempted to get one myself. Everybody has a gun. I've just not been able to bring myself to getting one yet. Um, because the energy behind a gun really, really, really bothers me. And it's not the gun itself, it's the energy that has been, uh, that flows around the gun. There was a movie called The Gun once. I think you can get it on Prime. You should actually watch that movie and see what I mean about that. The energy of this gun was so, when people picked it up, they found it on the ground. It was gold and beautiful. It was flashing at them, and they picked it up, and it moved them to do things they shouldn't have done. And it actually spoke to them and said, "Go do this." And of course, they did it. And the effect that they got from that is they ended up in jail or died. And then they threw the gun somewhere, and someone else picked it up. But anyway, it's called The Gun. But I have yet to move down that path. I always tell myself I'm going to do that because everybody else has one. And in this day and age, we need to find a way physically to protect ourselves as well. I have a beautiful lab that marks it up at just about everything. Okay, well, that's something else. I'm going to continue to pray on that and ask if that's something that I need to bring into my home. Because again, it's about that energy, and I need to really caution everybody about energy around a gun. You know, at least pray on the gun before you use it or take it anywhere. Okay. I wanted to um, say to all my awakened ones, all of us light beings, those of us who are still feeling the effects of what we thought was going to be a change in our world. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that election. I've said it before, it was rigged. It wasn't meant for Vice President Kamala Harris to become the first president. Hillary Clinton, when she ran for president in 2016, she was actually blessed by power. We call them the powers that be, that blessed and said, you know, we are backing you. We will uh, support you. You will become the first woman president. But as you all know, the Russians got involved. And if you want to talk about elections being stolen, the election was stolen from Hillary Clinton. But, you know, the MAGA people will just raise their hand because, you know, everybody else is wrong and they're right, which is sad because if you live that way, your life will be full of anxiety and hatred and frustration. And when you die, you will die a sad death. When I transition into the next existence, I want to go peacefully and happy. But anyway, the election was stolen from Hillary Clinton. She was supposed to be the first woman president. And she was a white woman. So let's just think about that. And people loved Bill Clinton. Okay? So So think about that. So I became a team player. I jumped on the bandwagon with Vice President Kamala Harris. I wanted to support her because I know her life is full of love. A lot of people wanted to say whatever they wanted to say about here, and of course that was going to happen. And I can tell you, on day right, how many days after the election, 4 or 5 days were past the election, they're still on television trying to dissect that beautiful woman, and they will continue to dissect. My belief was that this guy Trump was always going to go in. It was in the cards. Didn't matter if he has 36 felonies. They're trying to let you know, depending on who you are, you can do whatever you want. You know, Trump owns the Supreme Court. Many of the other higher courts, when he got in 2016, remember, prior to Obama leaving office, the Republicans would not allow him to put another person on the Supreme Court. They stopped him from doing it. So uh, Trump is really a puppet. He's there to do the bidding of a lot of people in very high places that are there to control the masses, the money flow, the power, and greed. They're trying to control God, if you want to call it God. They're trying to control the universal laws. They're trying to control the essence of the universe and trying to control that, but they can't. But they're finding ways to try to do that. That's why they do cloning and robots. And I remember was listening to one guy. He was saying they're not that far off from finding a pill that you can live forever. So there's things that they're trying to do. And if you want to just talk about it in mundane terms, you can say that they're trying to become God. Truly, that's how arrogant they are. And I'm not talking about God in the sense of how maybe Christians or Catholics or people talk about God. When I talk about God, I don't talk about a being, I'm talking about an energy. God has no feminine, it has both feminine and male energies, if that's what you want to say, but it has no physicalness to it. It's just a source that is, there is no ending to it and there's no beginning. I know there's religions that believe that heaven, you either go to heaven or hell and that's the end. I don't. Life continues and we graduate and continue to move. And when we leave this planet, our energy has no color, but it goes back to the universe and waits for the next journey, whether we come back or whatever. A lot of people don't like the word reincarnation, you know, certain religions. I don't call it reincarnation. I usually call it life continuous. And you return to this planet if you need to, and we've come back in many different forms. That's why I always say that people who come back, and maybe people, oh, those gay people want to change. You know, I believe they're coming in with a past life that they're thinking about, and it's just because we all come with different energies, and probably one of their past lives were different, and they're bringing that energy with them. I don't have a problem with that. That's why I don't have a problem with people who they want to be and how they want to be. I just don't like the competition. Sometimes I hear this competition, you know, sometimes, you know, transgender uh, women think they're better than regular, I call them biological women. I was born a woman. And I'm not trying to start a debate on that. I'm just trying to make a point here. But people should be whoever they want to be. Okay? But they're trying to be God, and you're going to see more and more of that, of them trying to become God over this next few years. And one of the things you're going to have to pay attention to is that they have said this and they've said it before, is that once they get back into power, they've been working on this for a while, people. You need to pay attention. People don't pay attention. They're too busy watching Love and Hip Hops and things. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. If I hear about another reality show that people are watching, I'm not saying don't watch these shows, but don't allow it to distract you. Remember the show Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite shows. Remember when they finally go to Oz and go in to see Oz, you know, and then they find out there's a man behind the curtain who was pretending he was this great and powerful Oz. Well, that's what they are. They are behind the curtain. But what they're saying to you is all these things, listen to everything else, but don't pay attention to those of us behind the curtain. Okay? They don't want you to pay attention, they want you to be distracted. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Vice President Kamala Harris, she was not going to win the election, folks. And many of you are saying, well, why did we have to vote? I'm going to say why you voted and why you should have voted. Because that is saying to these people that we're not going away. And they're going to try everything in their power to do whatever they can to come at us. They're going to come at us financially. They're going to come at us in ways that are going to be worse than what it already is. People think we live in a democracy. We really don't. Remember when President George W. Bush came into office and he went to a war in Iraq? There was no reason for it. He went into the war in Iraq because he accidentally said, and they tried to cover it up, he accidentally said, I want to get Saddam Hussein because my daddy couldn't get him. And then all of a sudden, they started developing all these messagings to see which one would work better. And the messaging they came up with was Iraqi freedom. They didn't give a damn about the Iraqs, okay? It was all about getting Saddam, getting Saddam, taking some of the oil, taking control of some of the oil, some of the oil barons, because, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Bushes own oil wells too. So that's why, if you're wondering why George W. Bush didn't say anything, there's a reason for that, because when the tax breaks come down, when they start drill baby drilling, he's going to get his money too. Okay. So I wanted to say that she was not going to be president. We don't live in a democracy. When George W. Bush came into office, don't forget that he put into place the Patriot Act. Remember, that was an excuse to put in the Patriot Act. Patriot Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those give the United States the approval to spy on you and I. That's why we have phones that can track us anywhere we go. That's why I have a tendency, when I'm done with my laptop, I cover the little hole, to my camera. I do that for a reason. They can. People say conspiracy. No, it's not. Trust me. In 2016, I said something to the administration, and right after I sent that letter, the light on my camera came on and flashed. And it was basically saying to me, we are watching you and we can watch you. So I want you to be aware of this. This is not new, folks. This was put into place under George W. Bush. They've been spying on us anyway, but Patriot Acts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 gives them permission to. Remember the guy named Snowden? Remember he was considered, I guess, a treasonist or something. Now he lives in Russia. And he told everybody that Obama was spying on Americans. Well, Snowden, what pissed me off about Snowden was that, first of all, Snowden was a Republican. And he knew that him, under the NSA or whatever they were, spying on Americans, Obama wasn't spying on Americans. The law was spying on Americans. But what Obama had to do, when it's the law of land, and during his time, those laws were automatically going to go in, the Patriot Acts. And there was a Patriot Act, or was it 3 or 4, one of them, that had to go in under Obama, whether he wanted it to or not. So Snowden was going to tell everybody that it was Barack Obama spying on people, because Snowden was trying to set it up for the new administration to come in, a Republican administration to come in and save everybody, which was the Republicans that were the ones that started all of this spying. Remember Kofi Annan? He used to be in charge of the United Nations, the black guy. They actually bugged his office, that government at the time. Yes, they did. They bugged his office, and it was okay. Yeah, so I want you to know that, the democracy that we think we live under, we really don't. To live in a country where they haven't even elected a woman yet. I mean, England has had two female prime ministers. Germany has had a female prime minister. I believe India had a female prime minister. I'm just letting you know that women in other countries have been elected as prime ministers. I believe it was Myanmar. I believe that's the place where they had also a female prime minister. I truly believe in North Korea. Kim Jong Un. I don't even know if he's still alive. They say he is, but his sister is worse than he is, from my understanding, and she's actually running things behind the scenes, but she doesn't come out in person. Women have run things since the beginning of time. In slavery, black women ran their homes because they sold our black men into slavery. So we had to take care of our homes. We had to stand up to the white master that was raping us and raping our children. Okay, so we were running the homes back then, protecting the homes, because the black men could not protect the homes because it was being sold. The Mandingo, they were selling him. So we've run since the beginning of time. We've been running things, and so sadly, they don't want a woman to run this country, because a woman, at the end of the day, we're very strong, but we also have this energy within us that gives us compassion. Okay, and most men from the old days were not taught to have compassion. They were just told to be men and not anything else. Now, some women, luckily, are allowing their boys to have compassion, but of course, we all know if your boys have compassion, now they want to call them gay. But never fear. Please give your boys love and let them grow into people of compassion, because we need more compassion in order to be able to survive this madness. But Kamala had too much love. Not only is that, she was a black woman. I don't care if you don't like to call her a black woman. That's exactly what she was. So let me just say that I just got to get this out, and I try not to cuss during these times. But just let me say this to the people really quick. Look at me. Fuck you. And you know who you are. Fuck you for coming after her, because she's brilliant. And like I said, they come after me too. In the workplace, like I have 3 college degrees. They didn't like me in the workplace either. Trust me. I've worked with them all, Democrats, Republicans, you name it. I've said that before. But she wasn't going to be president because she would have, things would have been better. Truly. And that's not what they want. We live in a capitalistic society. Capitalism. You hear a lot of them talking a lot about socialism and communism, all these bad things. All the isms are bad except for capitalism. Capitalism is supposed to be so great, except for there's only 1% to 2% that make $200,000 and above. That's capitalism. Truly, 99% of us make less than $200,000 a year. Okay? And that's sad. 2% or 2.5% make 200,000 up, and then when you get around to about 400,000 to 500,000, you get into the 1%. That's capitalism. Capitalism is rich people at the top, the rest of us at the bottom. There was a time where they tried to say, well, the middle class could move to the upper middle class, and then they, from the upper middle class, there were supposed to be these stages of steps that you can go to get to the top, but that's been destroyed. I remember, I believe it was prior to Jimmy Carter presidency or whatever, there used to be a time, believe it or not, where middle class people could write off interest rates to their credit cards, interest rates to their cars. There were a lot more write offs. We don't have write offs anymore. They took those away from us because when we were able to write off certain types of things, we were able to start moving up the ladder. That ladder that says, okay, now I'm a middle class person. I can get to the upper middle class. Maybe I can jump to the next level. That's the way capitalism was supposed to be. But now it's changed. Capitalism is now about 99% of us staying below 200,000 and below. And like a lot of people will say, well, what about these influencers and social media people? making all this money. I'm not talking about people that are making money right now for a minute. You guys are making money for a minute. I'm talking about long-term wealth, long-term assets. Your wealth is determined by your assets and what you own, and the longevity of those assets. A lot of these people come in and get this money and they spend it in one day and they're dead and gone in the water, or they get a contract with an MBA, or lose all their money. So I'm talking about long-term wealth. And it's not about money in your hand, it's about financial assets. Okay? Those kind of things are gone by the wayside. The only thing that used to work for the middle class was owning a home. And now they're trying to stop us from owning homes, and it's really tough. I've owned my home forever, a home, sold a home, got another home, those kind of things, but have never been profitable from a home. I wasn't trying to be. It was just a place to live because I needed a tax write off, because that's the only tax write off you have. You don't have any more tax write offs. Okay. So under Vice President Harris, she was looking to change the dynamics because she wanted all of us to, level the playing field, kind of move up, change the dynamics. But that's not what they want. Okay. Um, what they want is to control the money and the power. And also, they want to control policy, because one of the things they do not like is the United States of America and its diversity. And what really pisses me the fuck off is you white people around here talking about white supremacy and this and that. You weren't even here. This wasn't even your country. This belonged to indigenous people, Native Americans, and yes, there were some black people here too. They weren't all slaves. There were black people here. So people of black and brown skin were in this country before the white man came. And you need to understand that. And I'm so angry that you think that you can come in here and change all of that. How about you take your fucking ass back to the mountains of Europe and hide out there where you came from, you Neanderthals? I am so angry about that. It really ticks me off that they're trying to get rid of the black and brown people that were already here. You came into, you're trespassing, motherfucker. Oh, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I try not. I'm trying to really be, trying to hold on to my anger here, but it just really upsets me when you people with your new policies, you know who you are. You guys are nasty. You're 2025. We're going to stop this diversity when you're the ones who are, you're trespassing. You are trespassing on our land. It doesn't belong to you. And so part of my prayer is that you need to go back to the mountains where you came from. All of you, you supremacists, need to leave. This is not your country. Go find your place. Oh yeah, I know you lived in the caves, but go and make your caves bigger so you can all fit. I that needs to be said, because that is angering me right now. And it makes me upset because I knew Vice President Kamala Harris was not going to win. Not only did I know she was not going to win, because people, I want you to notice something. If you get an opportunity to go back and watch the vote count. First of all, Florida didn't even count the votes because DeSantis was not going to count the votes. They just gave Trump the 30 electoral votes here. Texas wasn't going to count the votes. Their attorney general said he didn't give a damn who won. If it was going to be a Democrat, it didn't matter. He was going to put a Republican in. He already said it, you guys. So those were already rigged. They weren't going to do it. Georgia is another one. They made a deal with Kemp. I'm just trying to tell you what's going on. They weren't going to. They needed to be clear about Trump winning Georgia, because the last time he lost it, he was pissed. And they didn't want that to happen again. So Raffensperger got up there and said, well, it's clear about who won. You see what I'm saying? So it was rigged from the beginning. And I know the MAGA people, blah, blah, blah. It's not just okay for you to say it was stolen. We have a right to say the same thing. I am so sick of them saying the election was stolen from them. It was not. You lost. So they wanted to make sure, they started back in 2022, they wanted to make sure that they actually showed up and could prove that they won. But they didn't. But anyway, it is my belief that Vice President Kamala Harris was used as a puppet. They were going to rig it where the Democrats were going to lose the election, but Vice President, they were going to use Kamala Harris as the person that lost it because Biden was not going to be able to win it because they already destroyed his name. Because we know Biden stutters. It doesn't matter if he's elderly. There's very smart people that run things. They're still in power and they're over 80. Okay. They run corporations and things, billionaires and things. So it's not because he's old. It's because he stuttered and they took the debate. And all of you fell into that bullshit. Even though you cannot win an election based on a debate. Obama lost the debate, but he won. Hillary Clinton won the debates, but she lost. You see what I'm saying? So if you think that because a person showed up and stuttered a little bit, that they shouldn't be running for president, there was a reason for that. And the Democrats, they were the ones that are at fault here because they jumped in on the bandwagon and moved Biden out the way. And they moved Biden out the way. You don't take a person out of the race 3 months out before the election and think you're going to win. But they moved him out, and this is why I always tell people I don't trust anybody. Again, remember, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I don't know who was behind the scenes with the Republicans determining that they were going to move Biden out of the way and that we're going to allow you to win. There were people back there negotiating with the Trump folks about Trump going in. I don't trust Democrats as far as I can see them either. And people get really, I need to tell them they're not going to be happy with me. I'm not a fan of Hakeem Jeffries either. And I won't even go into why. But they're all sitting around waiting to see who's going to run the House. Good luck. Because Hakeem Jeffries wants to be the Speaker of the House. One of the reasons he went after McCarthy, there's a whole other thing. I watched it all play out. And I'm sorry, when you get into those kind of positions and you start attacking, you start playing that game too. You know, the good people, they turn when they get there. Okay? So I'm not going to say too much because there's a lot of, he has a lot of fans, and I'm just saying I'm not a fan, and then I won't go into my reasoning. But I hope for the best. If you think you're going to get the House, hope for the best. But we have he went into office, the guy's going in the office. And I'm going to tell you something. If you look back on some of the Trump was trying to lay the groundwork to say they were going to steal the election. He only said that because he knew he was going to win it. In 2016, he knew he was going to win it. I remember when he came out on stage and wanted everybody to stop the counting. He said, I remember him saying, we can stop the counting now because Hillary's not going to win. And the reason he said that is because remember when Comey came after after Hillary talking about the Russians? Go look for her emails. Trump's team does the same thing that Hillary did. Put it on your private server. They do that now. Okay. They're even talking about they don't even need transition money from the government because they have their own money. They got their own servers and things. And the reason for that, because if they use the government money and connect with the transition office, they have to be above board, and they don't want to be. So they're going to be behind the scenes, doing their own thing. So Kamala Harris was their scapegoat. Biden couldn't, Biden, let's move him out the way because he's too old. Biden could have actually won it because most people would have voted for him and they would have had to explain why. Where's my vote? You see what I'm saying? Because men would have voted for him because he's a man. He didn't care if he's old. They would have voted for him just for that reason. And that's why they were trying to accuse him of being senile and all those other things to kind of muddy the water. And then they threw Kamala in there. Kamala in there. They threw Kamala in there. My apologies. Kamala in there to say things like, she's going to be strong. She can win. She wasn't going to win. They wanted to use her as the excuse for the Democratic Party losing the election. They were going to lose because you moved Biden out the way, and you guys, instead of standing up, because the Democrats they don't know how to stand up. You know, this peaceful transition of power, they're trying to model the behavior. Fuck them. I would have taken my time. If I were Kamala, I would have taken my time. Yeah, I would let them call me the angry black woman. It doesn't matter now, right? I would have taken my time. And Biden to come out the next day to talk about this is a democracy. Shut up. Can someone just pass along to Biden? Shut the fuck up and stop saying things were fair, because you know they weren't fair. And you know you're pissed off because you didn't get a run. And we know how you felt about Kamala running. And just because you put a black woman in, remember she went against you when you were first running for president. You put her in as your VP to shut her up. But at the end, I'm sorry. I'm not that impressed with any of you right now. I'm not impressed. Kamala had to be the fall person. She probably knew it, but she really tried because she has love in her heart. Good for you, Kamala. Um, but it just wasn't going to be, because this country is not was not the way it's run right now, with white males who think diversity is taking over. You know, it's so funny. They're still at the top. I don't give a damn how many black and brown people are here. They still control everything. The white man controls everything in our country that they took from us. This is our country. Black and brown people own this country. You're trespassing. You are trespassing. So I just want to tell everybody, um, you know, vote, just to let them know. And I always say, vote, because I come from an era of time where my people had to die for the right to vote, and now they're trying to take it from us again. They've already taken our opportunity as the middle class to move beyond middle class and move up the ladder. They've already taken that from us. You know, they've already oppressed us when it comes to that. So just even if it's just gnaws at them because you went out and voted and it pissed them off. Because they get mad when you stand in those lines. That's what they try to do. Kemp did the same thing in Georgia. Hey, no giving them water. I mean, come on, guy. And so he caved as well. He caved. And I'm telling you, they don't like you either, Kemp. Nobody likes you either. So I'm going to get off of him because I will start something down that aisle, and I just don't want to get off on a tangent right now. By the way, whatever happened to Stacey Abrams? Anyway, uh, anyhow, how much they have to pay to get her out the way. But anyway, so just kind of keep up with the signs, folks. I don't like to come on here and just say a bunch of bad things about, because then it makes people feel like, what's the point? Let me say this. That's what they want you to do. They want you to feel like, what's the point? Because once they push you into a corner where you think you have no more power, guess what? You will lay down and die. You'll lay down and die. Or you end up doing something wrong and they're going to put you into their concentration camps. Trust me, they got concentration camps waiting. And that's a fact. And it's not just for immigrants and migrants, just so you know. Don't be surprised when you see the robot dogs coming down in your community. Anyway, okay, enough of that. I want to end this on a different note, but I just wanted to share one more thing about the election, how I felt about it. I don't believe a damn thing. Um, it went too fast. Nobody counts that fast. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Because remember, Trump, he said he wanted the election to be over that night. He says he wants the election called that night, and he got close. 3 electoral votes from it, but he got to where he needed to be. But he did say that he was trying to get you all prepared that it was going to get called. Okay, and just think about the Senate now being overtaken. All the good Republicans have gone. There's Republicans I admired, they're no longer there. I'm not a MAGA Republican loyalist or supporter. I do like Lincoln Republicans. There's some of them I really admire, and one of them was John McCain, and but he's no longer with us, of course. So um, I just wanted to say that so again, you're going to have this is an opportunity now because a lot of people have forgotten who we are. When you take away the body, there's this energy in your spirit that exists. That is always there, right? And a lot of us have forgotten that. We have become too involved into the physicalness of this planet and all the things that come with it. We have gone to sleep, and because we have gone to sleep, this is what's happening. Okay? This is what's happening because of the continued sexism and racism in this country. We have gone to sleep on that. For us to think that there's equality in this country and there's democracy in this country, and hey, let's all, there is not. We have never had it. They make you think you have it, but you don't. And so you need to keep your eyes open because they're coming after you. In order for you to be able to survive it and to stop it, you're going to have to continue because continue to find your way with your voices because they're going to stop you from protesting. That's going to become illegal, folks. So people are not going to understand how bad it is until it happens. And those people who stepped up and said, I'm not supporting that woman and continue to dissect her, you're going to feel it. The people who have, I'm just going to say it, whiter skin, they're pretty much going to be okay because you're white. But at the end of the day, women are going to feel it. Women are going to feel it because, mark my word, if you haven't done it already, read the book Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood or watch it on Hulu. I think they have 5 seasons on there. They still haven't come back with season 6. But control women. It's not just about your body. They just want to be in charge of women. And if they had their way, you wouldn't even be in the workplace. Remember when women went into the workplace in, I believe it was World War One. It's when women went into the workforce to protect their husbands' jobs. When their husbands had to go to war, they allowed women to come into the workplace to hold down the fort and hold their husbands' jobs so their husbands could have something to come back to. Because remember, we were all supposed to be having babies and being homemakers. Okay. And you see here what J.D. Vance said, cat women, we don't have children. So that's not what they want. So our country is probably less democratic than some others. I'm just going to say it, you know. And you're going to be there's other things that will be coming down. I remember I lived in a socialist government for a year in the United Kingdom in London. And I remember that experience because they either liked me because I was an American or they hated me because I was an American, not because I was black and all those other things, but because there was a class system there. And so they really, 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 really had an issue with me. If I was an American or loved me because I was an American. So that was a socialist regime. And I remember that because even as an American, when I got sick, I was covered under their health plan. I'll never forget that. I was covered under their health plan regardless of whether I was a citizen of their country. While I was there on a Rotary. I was a Rotary Ambassadorial Scholar. So that's why I was there. So, and then I remember, in order to have a television, you had to buy a license. Okay, you had to buy a license to own a television, and then we had a certain amount of channels on it. Okay, and they really control the narrative in the United Kingdom. They always have. That's always been their way, and that's the kind of the direction that we're going. But we're a little bit different, and the more of us like beings that continue to discuss, and the many of us that continue to open our mouths and say we're not going to be silenced, we will not be oppressed, we will not be afraid because we have an authority that's much greater than you. We are the ones that will be able to change this. We don't need the laws. We can change this universally. We can, because we have a power that's greater than theirs. But to pay attention, and stay off of social media as much as you can. Stay away from the news as much as you can. Use your own intuition and your own voice. Remember, I just did a video that says, listen to the sounds. Listen to the sounds, okay? Open your eyes and your ears and listen to the sounds, okay? And bring in that light into this world because they're going to need it. They're going to need it. And let's make sure that all of us that are spiritual, regardless of what religion you believe in, those of us who are spiritual, regardless of, I don't care if you don't believe in a certain way, come together. Let's come together as a spiritual source, okay? Let's do that, okay? So I'd like to thank all of you. I'm going to shut down this conversation right now. I hear a bunch of noise going on in my house. It's probably my grandson because doesn't understand that, you don't go around the kitchen and start banging things. So I have to go in and play grandma here in a minute. So in the meantime, have a blessed day. We'll connect soon, awakening ones. Stay strong.